Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video, and if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and make sure you put repeat question and it will get moved to the top, and if it was super long, maybe shorten it up a little bit. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. And we do have to get things to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Platinum Protectors. If you guys need cases for any type of collectible, Platinum Protectors has got you covered. They have cases for action figures, comic books, diecast, Funko Pops, movie box, trading cards, and video games. Good selection, all different price points. You can get the nice thick cases with the magnetic top that are a little more expensive, or you can go cheap and, order these things in bulk where you're literally paying a few dollars a case. And then too, if you use PokeBeard at checkout, you receive 10% off your first order over $50 or more. Definitely check them out. All the links are in the description. But all right, first question is from @BillyClint2232. You're starting a collection. You have $100. Go. So I got a few different examples here because, people like to collect different things. But if it were me and I didn't have anything, I'd probably go buy the Zapdos EX Special Illustration Rare from 151. And then I'd probably go buy the Alakazam EX Special Illustration Rare from 151. Right around $100. Super, super popular Pokemon. Nobody can complain about the arts. I mean, they are top tier. And I still feel like they're so undervalued in a set that just keeps going up in price for sealed wise. And then I do have another example for raw cards. I just didn't put it on here, but like if you look at Paldea Evolved, for around $100, you can get all 3 starter special illustration rares, and you can get the 4 legendary Pokemon for like $110. And I mean, for like $150 total, you can even get the Miraidon and Koraidon. So you can get all the most popular legendaries for Gen 9 and their 3rd evolution starters, all in special illustration rares, which I feel like will do super, super good in the future. And then for sealed, it's kind of slim pickings right now because the market's so crazy, but Twilight Masquerade is close to $100 for the Pokemon Center ETB. Might come down in price a little bit more, but again, Twilight Masquerade, very solid set. They didn't print a ton of it. Ogerpon, not the best promo, but I still think it's like the best Ogerpon we've gotten out of all the Ogerpons. But of course, if you can find like 151 or anything like that at MSRP or Prismatic Evolutions, that's also a very, very solid buy. It's just, tough to find. And then for graded, you have a lot of options. So like I said, you got the Miraidon here around $100, Tapu Koko and a PSA 10 around 100. And then the Penny with the Umbreon around $100. I feel like that card's pretty undervalued. And then also some of the Terrestrial Festival Evolutions, Leafeon right here, $102. That's not a terrible price. If you guys are obsessed with these Evolutions, for around $100, maybe even a little less for some of them, that's not terrible. And the Japanese side, these boxes will go up. These cards could definitely go up in price a little bit. So if I was starting off a collection, I'd be pretty happy if I got any of those. All right, next question is from @SheldonParsons7914. Is this a hot take? Scarlet and Violet will pass Sword and Shield. So if you really look at the sets, if you look at early Sword and Shield base set, not very good. Rebel Clash, not very good. Darkness Ablaze, not very good. Champion's Path, not very good. Vivid Voltage, not very good. Shining Fates isn't terrible, but so much worse than Hidden Fates, and a lot worse than Paldean Fates. And then a lot of people don't love Battle Styles. Celebration's pretty solid, mostly reprint cards, but again, not too bad. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets for sure that are just not super, super popular sets. Now, if you look at the Scarlet and Violet era, we start off with bangers right away. We got Scarlet and Violet base set, tons of illustration rares, special illustration rares. If you look at Sword and Shield base set, nothing. No alternate arts, nothing like that. Like we're just talking some rainbows. And then not to mention, Scarlet and Violet era has silver borders, when the Sword and Shield era has the yellow borders, and I've been hearing people complain about that forever. Which, it never really bugged me. I don't mind silver or yellow. I think they're both pretty solid. But there's a couple things about the Scarlet and Violet era that does bug me. I wish I would have done a little bit more variety-wise for Pokemon. I mean, they went super heavy for Gen 9, which is good. It's good to get the newer Pokemon out there. I just wish I would have sprinkled in a few more older Pokemon. Doesn't have to be Gen 1. Could be Gen 1 through Gen 7 or whatever. And, in the special illustration or slot. That is really my only complaint. And like how we got 8 Ogerpon special illustration rares is kind of crazy. How we got all the reprints of a bunch of Gen 9 special illustration rares. Wasn't a fan of that. Otherwise, I feel like the Scarlet and Violet era is almost perfect. But yeah, just a few more popular Pokemon throughout the years in the special illustration rare slot for some of these sets, like Paldea Evolved, which was just pure Gen 9 SIRs. We got awesome IRs, but just a couple of them, like Paradox Rift, how they did Tapu Koko and stuff, I thought that was perfect. But I do have to say, I really feel like the Sword and Shield era has slightly better art. I feel like the alternate arts, you know, beat most of these special illustrationers. I've never seen so many people complain about, you know, special illustrationers. Nobody was really complaining about the alt arts in the Sword and Shield era. Like, not very many people at all. So it is kind of a toss-up. You know, we still got some more sets to go for the Scarlet and Violet era, but in my opinion, I do think the Scarlet and Violet era is a better era than Sword and Shield. Just because, you know, we got so many rough sets in the beginning, and then, you know, towards the last half is when we started picking it up for Sword and Shield, when Scarlet and Violet came out with bangers right off the bat. Even though some people don't like, you know, base set and how they evolved and, you know, Obsidian Flames, but still, they're good sets. I also feel like Pokemon's going to come out with some crazy stuff to end the Scarlet and Violet era. So, you know, we still got more to come. Next is from a member at PokeGingers. Do you think Prime cards from the Heart Gold Soul Silver era are still undervalued, or no, because of the somewhat easy pull rates of Primes? Thanks. So, yeah, they're not the hardest cards to pull. And then there's a lot of people that just do not care for the Primes because it's just a close-up of their face. But some of these are definitely still undervalued. I mean, Gengar is 175, but Mew's 54. Umbreon's 122. I could definitely see Gengar being a $250 card. Umbreon, you know, being over $200 also. But, you know, a lot of these cards are definitely pretty affordable, and I definitely feel like they got some room to grow. Next is from @NeoKWLX. What do you think about the new Chinese EV cards coming out? Is it worth pre-ordering on eBay now? So, I think they're absolutely beautiful. I would love to get them. Mrs. Beard really, really wants them. I'd probably wait a little bit longer before buying them, just to see, you know, if the prices go up or down or not. But I have a feeling they won't be that expensive. But again, it is Evolutions. But yeah, I like them a lot. I wish we were getting them for English. Next is from @TheDadis Bizarre Adventure 492A. Hey Beard, I have an Umbreon SR from Prismatic, but it came out of a pack with factory damage on the back. Should I sell it and hope for it to go down with the reprint and buy it back? I definitely want it for the personal collection. So I would probably sell it if it were me. I mean, almost never in Pokemon history do we have like a $1,300 raw card right off the bat. Like, that's just crazy. Last sold $1,435, $1,325, $1,399, $1,324, $1,300. Like, Umbreon VMAX was $500 on pre-release, and that was like the most expensive it was, because then it dropped in price, went down to like $250, $300, and was there for a little bit, and then slowly went back up. So this is an insane price for a card. So I'd probably let it go, buy it back when it gets below $1,000. Next is from @NGuyNess88. Hey, quick question. I hear everybody talk about the Unagaba cards, but never the playmat box. I bought it for $123 a little while ago, and I'm just not sure what to do with it. I want to sit on it, then get all the promo cards that go with it, but at the same time, it's just kind of taking up room on my sealed shelf. I'm not sure what to do with it at the moment. So, I mean, if you bought it, you probably do like it. It is a pretty cool box. You know, very, very solid. Unless you need the money, I'd probably just hold on to it. You know, it's an Evolution product. You know, it should definitely do fine. But if you need the money, you can maybe sell it and buy something else that you really, really like. Next is from @Hungry Hypnotoad. I just got a PSA 10 surprise box Umbreon that doesn't have a solid market price. Recent sales sit around $350 to $400, but there are so few and very far between. You holding or selling? So we just got 2 new sales. You're not going to like it. $264 and $260. Now that is still a good amount of money. Obviously not as good as $350, $400, but you know, you could possibly still sell it at $250, $260. That's a very, very solid price for a card that's, you know, not super hard to pull. Next is from @ToeTheB33. Is a gold Buddy Poffin from Twilight Masquerade a good investment? I'm gonna have to say no on that one. Those cards usually don't do very good. Next is from @JugV33. What's up, Beard? Have you seen the new Bear Walker Pokemon Center Evolution skateboards? Do you think they'll have more value on the later future? I do skate and got myself the Leafeon and Espeon ones. So I think they look pretty cool. And the skateboards honestly do pretty solid. So yeah, I think if you got some of those, you are definitely sitting pretty good. Especially $130. A skateboard's not bad. Next is from @Semrot. Is it worth starting an ETB investment? If so, what ETB should be purchased as soon as possible as compared to others? So, you know, if you can find Journey Together at the stores or any, you know, solid Scarlet and Violet era sets at MSRP, you know, you could start grabbing those. Otherwise, you know, like I said before, Twilight Masquerade, Pokemon Center ETBs around 100, Shroud of Fable still really cheap, like $10 over MSRP. You know, you could start off with that stuff, just get the cheaper stuff first. And then if you want to get a couple nice ETBs, you know, it's going to be tough because everything's so expensive. Crown Zenith market price $135, that's a great set, but, you know, it was $50, $60 for the longest time. And then, you know, a lot of the regular Sword and Shield ETBs now are getting close to $100. But this is the summer. A lot of these things are coming down in price right now. So keep an eye on them. You know, maybe wait a little bit after Destined Rivals towards the end of the summer, like August or something. And I could see a lot of these ETBs getting a lot cheaper. Then you can go shop in the secondary market. Like if 151 ETB gets down to like 150, which I don't think it will, but if it does, that's not a solid buy. If Celebrations gets down to 100, that's not terrible. Stuff like that. But all right, next question is from @Bagwet7523. Hey Beard, love the videos. I started collecting PSA 9 Delta Species cards, doing it for the PC, but wondering how liquid it will be in the far future. Are vintage cards even worth getting at PSA 9 or better to stick with raw? So PSA 9s are very, very solid. There's so many people that only collect PSA 9s, and then there's a lot of people that will crack a PSA 9 and put it in their binder. I've cracked many PSA 9s. Basically the only way to get, a super, super clean card in that binder, which I do for some of my favorite cards. And Delta Species, I think, are so slept on. And here's the thing. They could bring Delta Species back. In Gen 10, we could get another Delta Species set, which will make these cards go crazy. So I think PSA 9s are very, very solid. Obviously, they're a little more expensive, but I think they're a great buy, and pretty much anybody will buy a PSA 9. Like I said, raw collectors, people who collect slabs, 9s are very, very solid, especially for that era. Next is from @DonaldMDHGAB. Questions on the Charizard XY Art Collection Japanese promo in a PSA 10. Can it take the leap and reach Poncho level valuations? So I like this card so much more than these Ponchos. I'm not the biggest Poncho fan. I think they're a little overrated. But I love the Charizard fighting the Venusaur, and then it also goes with the Charizard V from Brilliant Stars. Like, we got a lot of cards going towards that. We even got the Charizard V from the Charizard UPC, where they're done battling. So there's multiple cards. So I'm a big fan. Last sold in a PSA 10, 2,900. And we got the Charizard Y Poncho in a PSA 10 for 5,650. So it's getting close. This card is going up in price right now. I don't know if it'll get quite to the Ponchos, but I definitely could see it, getting pretty close. We got another sale here at 3,542. Next is from @Shadow Urana. Hey Beard, I have a German Charizard tin from Hidden Fates, and I was wondering if it or other tins overall will eventually climb again, or if it has hit its roof. Thank you for your videos and insight to the market. So I definitely feel like it'll go up in price still. Again, the German tin, so not really too sure on that. But if you wait long enough, a lot of sealed products, they just slowly keep rising. And Hidden Fate's pretty popular. Charizard tin, not bad. Next is from It's a Jeep Thing 31. Would you rather have a PC Prismatic Evolutions ETB or a XY Breakthrough Mewtwo Y ETB? So Breakthrough is actually pretty nostalgic for me, and I love that ETB. I have quite a few of those already. So I would probably pick the Pokemon Center Prismatic one. You cannot beat that stamp promo in there. There's just so much value guaranteed in that box. Plus the ETB itself is better, and Prismatic's technically a better set too. So I'd probably go Prismatic, even though I love Breakthrough. If I didn't have any Breakthrough, and if I was still super nostalgic for that set, I'd probably get a Breakthrough, because I do have some Prismatic PC ETBs. Next is from @Kobe00. I have an Evolving Skies Grandmaster set that includes all the Prize Pack series promos and an Espeon VMAX Alt Art. I'm in it for about 2.8k. Now it's worth a little over 8.1k. Undecided if I want to hold it or sell it. Thank you and love your vids. So it really depends on if you need the money, your whole money situation. If you need the money, now is a pretty solid time. But if you look at every set in Pokemon history, Evolving Skies might be the greatest set ever. It's super, super close. In my opinion, it has like the best top cards we've ever gotten in one set. Not to mention, some of the most popular Pokemon in Pokemon history in one set. So that set could be worth, 20 grand maybe one day. You never know, just because it is the best set ever. And the sealed products are just going crazy. So that might be one you might want to hold on to. I have a rule. I don't sell anything Evolving Skies or Team Up. Next is from @PokeEasyHack. I want my next big YouTube video to be collecting every Zapdos ever created. What site do I use to make sure I actually have the correct list? I've seen a bunch of different sites, and they have different numbers of the Zapdos cards listed. So use all the different sites and make one big list. Check everything. Check TCG Player. Look at every card. You kind of have to do your own research. Check on Reddit too. A lot of people on Reddit make the full list of everything. But just check all the lists you can and make your own list, and just make sure you get every Zapdos card. Because I've also done that before, with Dragonairs and Suicunes and stuff, and a lot of the lists are missing one or two cards that, another list may have, so just check all the lists and you'll get them all. Next is from @ConnorBrooks6956. Hey Beard, I recently sent a few cards off to tag for grading, one of them being the Pikachu from Crown Zenith. I've noticed it's going down in price lately and was wondering if you think I should hang on to it for a while or sell it while I can. So the thing about Crown Zenith cards, they're really easy to pull. So, the cards will always go up and then they'll always come back down. So if the card's coming down in price right now, you could hold on to it and wait for the next boom or something like that. But otherwise, if you don't like the card and it's still worth a decent amount where it's worth it for you and you can do something with that money, you know, you could possibly sell it. Next is from @Thalminator582. Hey, PokeBeard, I'm going to trade my Hollow Bulkin for Sword Credit. Should I get a Paldea Evolved booster box or a Surgeon Sparks booster box? So I do think Paldea Evolved is a slightly better set, but when you're comparing special illustration rares, like it's tough to compete with a Pikachu, Milotic, and a Latias special illustration rare all in one set versus Paldea Evolved, which is all Gen 9 Pokemon. And when Paldea Evolved came out, Pokemon was really, really down. You know, there was not nearly as many people in it. And when Surgeon Sparks came out, there was a ton of people in it. So there's, you know, literally another million people out there that are obsessed with Surgeon Sparks that have never even opened Paldea Evolved and don't really have an urge to pull anything besides maybe like the Magikarp or something. So Surgeon Sparks might be a better pickup, but again, Paldea Evolved is so much older and, you know, it's a way bigger set too. So honestly, you cannot go wrong with either one, in my opinion. It's kind of up to you. But all right, next question is from @Smokey422. Why are illustration rares crashing, or is it just me? So they're just kind of correcting because they were not at their real prices. A lot of those prices were completely fake, hyped up, people doing buyouts, people, you know, making videos about it, and then other people watching the videos and just buying a ton of them. So they're kind of just correcting. You know, a lot of them are crashing though. If you really look at it, like they're back down 50, 60, 70% on some of these cards. But these are going to be more like your actual prices for these cards. But all right, next question is from @The Need for Sheed. Is there a marker for PSA 1 slabs? Yes, PSA 1 slabs actually outsell PSA 2s, 3s, sometimes 4s and 5s. They're for sure worth more than PSA 2s and 3s. And I don't really get the whole PSA 1 thing. I've heard them say, you know, like the cards tell a story. But so many people are literally buying the cheapest damaged cards on eBay and crumpling them up even more just to get a PSA 1. So it's not like back in the day, you know, they think it's like a kid who put it in their pocket and they had it for 5 years and carried it with them everywhere. You know, there's some of those out there. But now, a lot of people are just getting PSA 1s on purpose because they know it's worth more than a 2, 3, or 4. So it's kind of crazy. But all right, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. And if you guys want to support more, you can check out my Instagram or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. And if you want to watch my last vending video, which was the biggest card show in Minnesota, a 4-day show, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.